We've cleaned up our index.html file here. Now let's start creating partials so that we can start separating some of this code. So what we'll want to do is go into our app, views, layouts folder and create a partial in here. So what I normally put into the layouts folder are partials that are going to apply across the application. So a header here, you're probably going to want this to be over the entire application, not just the home page. So if we do a new file here, in order to create a partial, if we save it, it needs to have an underscore in front of it. That's how Rails identifies this as a partial. It has an underscore ahead of it, in front of it, and you can call it whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to call it header. So what we can do here is let's just grab all this code, copy, paste it in here. Now if we do a refresh on our application, you'll see that the header is gone. We don't have a header right now because we just took it off. What we want to do is we could call it into this index.html file, but we want a header on every page, right? So in our application HTML file, this is where we'll actually put it. What we'll do here is say, use some Ruby and say at render, or I don't think it's at render, it's just render layouts header. Now if we go back into our application and do a refresh, there we have it. And this will happen across the entire application. So any page that you're on, it'll do this for us. Because we don't want it only on the home page, we want it across the entire application. And so we can do the same thing here for the footer. Grab all the footer, and actually let's create a new file first and call it, save it for footer.html. B, and let's grab all this code right here, and I think it's a pretty big footer here. Stops right here, begin footer, delete that, copy paste it into here. And again, let's just take a look at it, see what it's done. You can tell that we don't have footer anymore, but if we go into our application ERB, render it, layouts, footer, do a refresh, and there we have it. Our footer is at the bottom, and this will be across the entire application. Alright, so now let's see if we need to do anything else. I think that's good enough for now. We could, if we like to really separate our code, is to put this part of it in its own header as well, or its own partial as well. So if we go into our header HTML, we could, if we'd like, put this logo container, where is that logo container right here, in its own partial so that we really separate out the code, but I think it's good enough for now. Alright, so that's a brief introduction to partials. We may be doing more of this later, but for now I think this is good enough.